All right, so yesterday in Japan, because Japan is ahead of us, they are in the future, much like the East Coast is ahead of the West Coast. We had Nintendo's latest investor briefing where they go over things like console sales, software sales, all of that sort of fun stuff. Now, considering Nintendo is in a bit of an interesting situation with 2024 thus far, really no sort of games announced beyond the summertime window, many people were anticipating this event to see what it would bring about. Well, we did get some updated Nintendo statistics, such as Tears of the Kingdom, kind of flatlining a bit, like I said it was going to, but nobody listened to me. The Switch itself selling over 141 million systems, but it wasn't necessarily what was done at the investors meeting that is drawing a lot of attention. It was done after the investors meeting with a tweet. Yes, a tweet done by President Furukawa himself, or somebody doing the tweet for him. Now, of course, I am not a Nintendo YouTuber, but occasionally I will talk about Nintendo stuff, and there's a lot to unpack within this tweet. So if this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But let's just go over this, and I'll give you guys my thoughts. So here we are, folks. At 3 a.m., of course, because, like I said, Japan's in the future, man. This is Furukawa. No, it's not. Like people thought that Shigeru, there was a tweet that like Shigeru Miyamoto made. It was like, this is Miyamoto. And everyone was like, hello, wow, look at Miyamoto's type. It's like, it's not him. What is wrong with you people? It's if someone typing it for him. Like, I don't think he logged into the Nintendo Co. account and said this stuff, which is the business account for Nintendo, not Nintendo of Japan, not Nintendo of America, the business side of things. But let me calm down. President of Nintendo, we will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. So that was something that a lot of people have been anticipating. You know what? We're just going to read this and then I'll give you guys my thoughts on it when we're done. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of the Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024. But please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during the presentation. So, before we break things down and sort of look at it, I do want to say this is the most Nintendo thing in the world. Like, I know you're going to say, well, they announced the Nintendo Switch in a similar manner when they said the Nintendo NX is coming, this, that, or the other. That was a completely different ball game. You had to do something because investors were tired of the company with the Wii U. The games media industry was tired of everything with the Wii U. You had to make people excited. You would think that with a very successful system such as the Nintendo Switch, you would go about, the first announcement, the first concrete announcement with the release of when, you're actually going to showcase this beast would be done in a little bit more of a different manner, like a little bit more pomp and circumstance. But, that's kind of telling to me about the situation that Nintendo finds themselves in. Because like I said, this is coming to us from the business account, meaning that this only talks about business related things. They're not talking about like upcoming games and stuff like that. And it's almost like we're at a point where investors are kind of looking at things. They're like, okay, well, things are slowing down. Your software is slowing down. Where the hell is this new hardware? Where is this? Where's the next thing? You're obviously holding something back. And I think everyone can sort of agree with that sentiment. So with this being announced within the upcoming fiscal year, meaning that between now and March of 2025, the system will be officially unveiled as far as, getting a look at it, learning about, what's different, probably price point, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So now we're kind of on this window of time. But to me, it's kind of the window of time that I've been operating on. I wasn't one of those channels that thought, it's still going to come out in 2024. We kind of moved on from that here. I don't know who we is. It's just me and Brett sometimes that is. But I kind of moved on from that train of thought. My whole philosophy was more so based on this 2025 release, maybe figuring out why we have to wait until 2025 and then just kind of checking things out as they come along. So I find this whole thing about the Switch 2 or whatever they're going to end up calling it. I find it very puzzling that it was done in this manner, because obviously, once we get all the translated stuff out of the investors meeting with the Q&A section, because that's where all the real stuff is going to happen, even though sometimes these investors ask some very stupid questions, I find it very puzzling that this is the way that Nintendo decided to go into. I'm glad that they did say something, because this is a two-part tweet here. We have the existence of the Switch 2 and the unveiling of it between now and March of 2025, which, 10 months away. But we also have the confirmation of a June Nintendo Direct. Once again, you had all these jackasses out there. April Direct, May Direct, they're going to do it early. And it's like, no, what did I always say? That it was going to be a June Nintendo Direct. Now, they did say that the Switch 2 will not be at the June Nintendo Direct. Of course not. They never unveil hardware at these presentations. Like, I honestly feel like some of these people that talk about this video game stuff, especially when it comes to Nintendo stuff, they don't understand the history. They don't understand how Nintendo operates and how they've always operated. Like, quit saying stuff and leading your audience astray, or else you're going to wind up with no audience. But we now have confirmation of a June Nintendo Direct talking about the latter half of games for 2024. And once again, much like the Nintendo Switch 2 situation, I find this to be very interesting just because of the fact that Nintendo has done a very good job of kind of leading you up. You learn about games except for games like Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda games and Metroid Prime 4. Those are the two games that are kind of outliers. But Nintendo has done a very good job this generation of telling you about games and showing you games that will be coming out in a very short turnaround time. So that way you kind of have everything planned when it comes to their first party releases. But with this stuff, bro, after, you get Paper Mario and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, both of which are just, remasters, remakes, whatever, of, previous games that people have played, we don't know anything. And so I find that very interesting, because once again, now we know that the Nintendo Switch 2 is essentially looming on the horizon, which we should have all known that already. But with that system looming on the horizon, how much are you going to want to put onto the standard Nintendo Switch? You obviously still want that to sell. You want people to buy Nintendo Switch systems. You want them to buy Nintendo Switch games, and releasing new games for the system will help that, especially considering that it's been kind of a soft 2024. Yes, there has been games, but really they're kind of smaller productions. Will we continue to see smaller productions out of Nintendo for the second half of 2024 as we're gearing up towards this 2025 Nintendo Switch 2? The way I see this playing out is probably some more remakes and remasters. Maybe you finally get Twilight Princess and Wind Waker and your Metroid Primes, a bunch of GameCube stuff, which, I mean, I'm not discrediting it. I would love to play Twilight Princess again because I absolutely love that game, and I think it's one of the most criminally underrated Zelda games. But I'm not quite sure, maybe some Mario, a Mario baseball game, that's a pretty safe thing, and people will buy it, if it's better than Strikers was, because that's one of the worst games on the Switch. I don't care what anyone says. But Nintendo has put themselves in a very unique situation here, and I'm very curious to see kind of how this all plays out. When are we going to learn about things? When are they going to showcase things? In my mind, they show this off, I guess September, October, maybe. How much do you want to hurt your holiday sales when it comes to the Nintendo Switch? Or are you at the point where you don't necessarily care? You sold over 141 million systems of the Switch. It's done its job. I wouldn't worry about cannibalizing those sales, because what I would do is I would price drop that system. Price drop the standard Nintendo Switch, do some bundles and stuff like that. People will buy it because it's a cheaper system. And then, when the Switch 2 comes out, if it has a great software library and all that sort of stuff, you don't have anything to worry about. But obviously, quite a lot of information there. And I'm sure we'll learn some more stuff when the investors report comes out about what was asked, what was said, all that sort of stuff, which we'll talk about it if there's anything super interesting in that, but I kind of wanted to break all this down from my perspective. As always, remember, this is just my perspective on the situation. Not saying that it's right or wrong, but I mean, I like to think that I'm right. So let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section down below. Are you surprised that this system was first talked about via a tweet on Nintendo's business account? Like, does that kind of make you a little bit leery about how they're going to handle this system? Obviously you don't do that unless investors are asking questions. So I feel like, there's going to be some interesting stuff coming out of that investor Q&A. Obviously, I'm sure Nintendo's not going to say too much, but this is Furukawa. He's making the tweet right now. I wonder how he made it, like on a computer, on an iPhone, on an Android. Furukawa seems like an Android person because Android is better than iPhone. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like the video, share it around if you enjoyed it. Make sure you give me your feedback in the comments section down below. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.